Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to BASECAMP, the best way to start your day. I'm sorry you get me again. Jack is still out of town. He's in a tent all by himself with only water, seeking the Lord through prayer and fasting. So pray for Jack today. I'm Pastor Joe, and BASECAMP is a tool to help you develop the habit of spending daily time with God. And if you recall, we're in the book of Exodus. And if you recall, back on Tuesday, one of the key themes that we were talking about is reliance on God. And the second story in Exodus 17 continues that theme, but in a little bit of a different way. Open up your Bible if you have it. I'll be reading out of the New Living Translation to this story about Israel and the Amalekites. Exodus 17, starting in verse 8. While the people of Israel were still at Rephidim, so this is the place where the water came from the rock, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Now, let me tell you a little bit about these people. The Amalekites were nasty dudes. Think modern day terrorists. They would prey on the weak and the helpless, and they were merciless. They were mean people. These are the people that nobody likes, and they attacked the Israelites, who they've just come out of Egypt just a couple weeks ago. They're not trained for war. They're not trained for battle. They have their women and children with them. And so again, we find ourselves maybe wondering with the Israelites, God, why are you allowing these things to happen? Well, let's see how God shows up. Moses commanded Joshua. This is the first time we hear about Joshua, fun fact. He says, choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Can you imagine that? Just, hey buddy, find some guys, go out there and fight. Tomorrow, he says, I will stand at the top of the hill holding the staff of God in my hand. Now, that might not mean anything to you, and it might seem funny that he goes, I'm going to hold a stick up in the air. But this is the same staff that God has used to perform multiple miracles. And so what Moses is actually doing is he's going up on the mountain to pray. Verse 10. So Joshua did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed up to the top of the hill of the nearby hill. As long as Moses held the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. So Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. Then they stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands, so his hands held steady until sunset. As a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. After the victory, the Lord instructed Moses, write this down on a scroll as a permanent reminder and read it aloud to Joshua. I will erase the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Moses built an altar there and named it Yahweh Nisi, which means the Lord is my banner. So it means like war banner. The Lord goes out to fight with me. He said, they have raised their fist against the Lord's throne. So now the Lord will be at war with Amalek generation after generation. Pretty cool story. And when you think about what's happening, one, we see reliance on God like we have in some of these previous stories. But the second thing we learn today is reliance on God's people. See, Moses is up on the mountain and he's praying. He's seeking God's wisdom. He's seeking God's help because he knows that they can't win by themselves. And him holding the staff up in the air is his way of surrender, of saying to Yahweh, we need your help, of asking for his deliverance. But his arms start getting tired, right? Try holding your arms up in the air with weights in your hands for any amount of time. Try it. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Who knows how long this battle would have taken, and his arms get tired. And so Aaron and this other guy named Hur, H-U-R, they put Moses on a stone so he can sit, and then they hold his arms up in the air. You know, one of the things about the culture that you guys live in is there's this increased desire for severe or like extreme individualism. Like what matters is me, and I've got to take care of myself. And we've lost the communal ideal that God gives us in His Word. We think it's weak to need help. But actually, the Bible tells us that in God's family, we're made for one another. There are going to be times when you're weak, when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you don't feel like you can go on, like you can't take that next hill or moment of life. But in God's goodness, He has provided His people to us. So it might be the people in your life group. It might be the people in Collide or other friends and family that you know that are followers of Jesus. Part of being in God's family is living like His family, praying for one another, supporting one another, coming alongside one another when we're in pain or trial. And so, yes, we need to rely on God, but it's never just us and God. This is a family event. And so I just want to encourage you this week. Maybe reach out to somebody that's in your life group and encourage them. Ask them how you can pray for them. Maybe thank one of your life group leaders. Maybe look for opportunities where you can get involved to volunteer in CVC Kids or helping Jack in Collide. There are lots of opportunities where we can not only rely on God, but rely on His people so that we can continue to seek God's kingdom in this world and in our lives. Have a great day. We'll see you back here next week for another version of BASECAMP.